Hello, my name is Michael Wickerson. Welcome back to Wickerson Studios. I've just completed the last chapters of the one-liners Python scripts for Grasshopper using the GH remote Python remote node. I'm going to go back a few steps and get down to a very simple thing with everybody because I think learning Python can happen at a more advanced level or intermediate level, let's say, through the Grasshopper canvas. So here's an example, and it's kind of redundant, kind of foolish, but you can see what I've written in here is a script in the ghPython node, which I've made and compiled. I haven't compiled it, I've just kind of brought it into a user object, given it a name, defining functions. And instead of dealing with words or strings, I thought, well, I'll just deal with numbers. And instead of just dealing with numbers, you can tell by these lines, I'm dealing with single items to X, lists of items to Y, and a list of lists to Z. And this function runs when I open it as three functions defined by definition to output exactly what was input. So the main thing happening here is that what's driven by this number slider is also being processed through to A through the function. So you couldn't have a simpler function. But how would you do that? So you see the example is number one, I'm importing RhinoScript syntax as RS. I don't even need it, but a single number. That's a comment line. Everything I brought in here has to be set right. I have to set it to list. It's the item one. Y is set to list, and Z is set to tree access. And I also have to set them whether they're going to be integers or floats. So I've decided integers for this one and floats for Y and Z. And you can tell by the decimal place there. So yes, you could just make a number slider, slide it in here, and you have it. But I think it's funny to learn by kind of this redundancy of putting it through a Python node. But what a way to come and understand it. And we're going to go through the full details of doing this from passing arguments all the way through to key arguments. And we're going to move through the entire chapter of a Python book to learn functions, but we're going to learn it through the GH canvas, which I think will be very exciting. And all my functions, all my user objects to make them run in all my ghFiles will be available on my $3 tier level of Patreon. So I keep it very inexpensive, and then I do make them public in a few months as I add more. So if you want to wait for it, that's fine. If not, you can probably follow along with these videos. You see writing the first definition, which returns X, is basically, it's asking for that the function's name is number. I'm leaving it open with no parameters. I'm setting in an argument. I want to print. I'm not even setting an argument to it, but I'm running it. And when you run it, you have to set it to a variable. So I set it to the variable A so I can pull it out and do exactly what I did. I brought in 5. I ran it through and output it as A. And you see how that works as a single digit 5. The next one is I have to create a list B. So I want to set up B as a list. And I thought this was very interesting that I could get away with it. I never knew what I could get away with down here. I nested a empty list within an empty list to build a tree. And nobody showed me to do that. It's just being playful. It makes sense to me, so I just did it. But anyway, this dot string is saying create a list of numbers. Y is inputting numbers. So once again, you can bring this down. You have all those numbers. But I think it's fun to process it through a function and write it properly as a numbers function and call that function. You want to return that value Y. You want to make sure you append your list B by Y each time. Otherwise, you'll just end up with the last number in the list. And then you want to bring B into your function. And the last one is pretty interesting, creating a list of numbers. And I'm just giving it a different name on each one of these. The first one, call number, then call numbers, then call list numbers. And that's exactly what I do. And I think there's a call down here. I left it out. Apologize for that because I wanted to run the output so you can see it. But there it is. So you're calling the list of numbers for C. So once again, the data coming out of taking 5, running it through a series and another series, you see from the dash line, we have a list of lists. We run all the way down those items, 10 lists of 10 digits. And but I think it's funny and interesting to learn the logics of definitions this way. We're going to manipulate and do a lot of things with this, but this is the basis of this workshop. I hope people find it interesting. I find it like kind of basic, intermediate, and for those that want to do more with their Python functions and create and make your own. So I hope you find this interesting. I'm going to enjoy this for the next month. A little bit of a break from the algorithms and the regular expressions and things like that I've been doing in the final chapters of the one-liner Python book. Staying active. Have a great time. I'm going in for laser-treated retina surgery in about 2.5 hours, so hopefully I won't be wearing a blindfold. But thanks very much for watching.